Hello, Boris Pravisham here. Welcome to the Nidd Whitelist server. I know I only just did a launch in the last episode, however, there's a need for another satellite up there, because it doesn't reach, and I misunderstood how the antennas work quite badly, so I'm going to have to put another one further out, about 60k up, and then we'll be able to communicate with with Space Vegas up there. I'm not too fussed about this because it means I get to test out my boosters a little bit more. So this time I'm going to be using 2, which means there's this weird looking attachment on the end. I could put another merge block there and have it blow off so that actually further up, but I don't want to complicate things. So each of these are only going to be on 60% thrust, so that'll take longer for them, hopefully, to burn through the hydrogen. Although, now that I think about it, I think I read somewhere that hydrogen burns the same amount regardless of how much the thrusters are overridden. So, this one I'm not planning as much. I am kind of just going with the flow and seeing what feels right. I have more nuclear reactors on here at the moment. These batteries are charging, which I forgot to do earlier. Oh, they're almost fully recharged. So I've got extra power on there. The other problems were mostly caused by me. So I went back all through the footage. There was about an hour and a half. I cut it down to 45 minutes. So there was a bunch of just me checking numbers that I cut out. But it was really helpful when I watched it back, because I learnt that I hadn't taken into account the altitude of the launch when it came to working out where the satellite would end up, which is why it didn't quite make it to the edge of gravity on that first try. Minty had to fly up a little bit more. I think that's because in my single-player creative test world, the launch pad that I was using was higher up, so it had a lesser distance to travel, and therefore when I moved here, it went the same distance. It actually worked out really rather well. I was aiming for 43k, and it got it almost exactly. However, from this lower altitude than my test site, it didn't quite escape the gravity, and the sim speed problems may have had a little bit to do with that, but I'm not sure how much. And the other big thing that I messed up was the remote blocks. So let's go in here and go to the return remote. So you'll see here there's a waypoint. I thought I changed it, but apparently I didn't. So I left the one from my single-player test world, and apparently even though I didn't have that waypoint saved by that particular name on this server, like in my GPS locations, it was called like landing pad, which was the name that I used in my test world. Apparently it doesn't care about the name, it just goes off the coordinates. So that's why it was kind of thrusting into the ground very quickly sideways, because it seemed to be trying to either go around the planet or go through the planet to get to those coordinates, because my test site was on the other side of the planet to where it is here. However, I fixed it, and each of those boosters have their own spots. Booster 1 there, booster 2 there. So hopefully when all of this happens, that's where they come to rest. Although I'm now a little bit worried that we may run out of hydrogen, and therefore they'll come down slowly and just rest on the ground if they don't have the small hydrogen thruster. Where is it? One of these. There. Although in the past it hasn't. That's more of a safeguard than anything else. It can hold itself up without it. It may slowly sink to the ground, but it shouldn't damage itself. But that thruster was added as a safeguard. So they're the changes that I've made. Hopefully this goes off without a hitch. I'm going to hop in with Anubis, so he's off. Actually, I just got a coordinates. So he's through the planet. He's on the other side. So he won't be able to see any of this, but I'm just going to jump in with him anyway so he can laugh at me when this all crashes and burns and goes everywhere. But this didn't take that long. This only took me a couple of days to rebuild everything, which isn't too bad when you kind of zoned out watching other people's videos while doing it. So I'm not going to be too fussed if this all goes horribly wrong, because I should be able to redo it fairly quickly, and I should learn something from it, because this is how I learn. I don't like to sit there and read Wikipedia articles or watch tutorials or anything like that. I just like, throwing things together, setting them off, and see what happens. So, yeah, I haven't used batteries much. They're my key area of lack of knowledge here. So, if something goes wrong, it's probably either going to be the hydrogen tanks, because they'll burn at the same rate, even though I've got the thrust override only set to 60%. The alternative, by the way, is to go stage 1, stage 2, which I didn't do on this one. I wanted to test if I could simplify it by having it at 60% so you could kind of get the same benefit. Not quite, but it makes it a lot more simple because all of the names are the same. So see, each of these boost one merge groups, they apply to both at the same time. So when I launch, I only have to launch one, and then it'll set it off independently on each, and they'll each follow their own paths from there, which is very useful and easy when planning, to make sure I've got all the settings right. So I would have to go through and rename them and reset things up, because I don't quite have that fully independent yet. So I want to try this first. I told Anubis before I started that if I took longer than 5 minutes, it means that my episode would run over time. So he said he would spam the chat if I did. So thank you, Anubis. I'm going to join him now, and we're going to launch this thing. Anubis is here.
Oi!
Now, I've got to switch. I'm just going to ignore you. I've got to switch.
That's what I'm here for, to be ignored. You're not doing a good job.
Switch the batteries over to not recharge, but okay. And then the hydrogen tanks are going to turn off stockpile, and now we should be good to go. And I've checked everything lots of times, I think 4 times now. So I'm just going to hit start and see what happens. So I'm about to launch. This may go horribly wrong, and we may end up just falling to the ground or something. I should have checked that everything was running. It is. Okay, here we go. We're going up. So that's a good sign. This looks very odd, because the physics of this is not right. You've seen these boosters before, haven't you, Anubis? Where I just kind of tack them on the side of anything and it sends them skywards. That's what I've done with this satellite. So last time I had the thruster burning for 300 seconds and then it free floating for 500. This time I'm going to burn them for 400 seconds and then let it free float. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to change my direction a little bit, because otherwise I'm likely to run into my other one. There we go. Very, very slight change of direction. Yeah, so these are going to burn longer and hopefully throw it higher before it turns on. Although I haven't done any of the maths for this one. Last time I planned everything down to the second. This time I've just guessed everything. So
that generally works better.
Yeah, there may be a satellite about to fly into the space station. I did set the return points a little close, so there is the chance of them failing and crashing into the planet. I probably should have set them further away. It's too late now, because Minty was too tired or something to join. That means that satellite is not going to have someone on it, so I can't confirm that it's going to stop. So it may just go off into nothing. Right, should be popping off any time now. So should see those little boosters ignite, and then we'll switch into first person. There we go. Right on time. Boosters
looks beautiful.
Popped off. Thank you for something you can't see. My health is low. Why? Why is my health low? I don't... Uh-oh.
Helmet?
Yeah, I didn't put my helmet on. Why did it only just now do that? So I'm dead, but this is all automated, so it should be fine. I just won't
Keyword in that sentence is should.
Yeah. I've just got to try and watch it from the ground, I guess. Okay, so I'm on the ground and the boosters are 40k up. I can't quite see the other satellite out from behind it, but I can still contact it. You know what? I'm going to go into the satellite. I put a downward-facing camera on there. I knew this would come in handy. And I can zoom in, and I can just see the things all the way down there. This camera is brilliant.
Is it the clear camera?
Yeah. Well, I'm currently like in the this communication satellite I just launched and looking down on the planet as it flies away, and I see the boosters just dropping away behind me. But they're out of range now. I'm going to switch into the remote control of it so I can see how high it is. So it's 50k up and there's no gravity. So that seems to be working. We're almost 10k past the other satellite. That's worked too well. And it should switch on its thrusters anytime soon. And then we'll see the see it slowly come to a halt. Now it's just a waiting game of waiting for these boosters to come down, although I can see them on the HUD. They've just separated slowly, so I know that they're not bunched together. I should put cameras on those boosters. That would make sense. Okay, we're still going away. And I hear thrusters. So if I go in, thrusters are on. And the thrusters are going to stop me about 15.5k away past, so I'm about 5k off where I shot, where I was aiming for. So that's not too bad for someone who didn't do any maths.
No, it's pretty good.
See, I just launched something 57k away. It was supposed to be... Oh, I'm only 3k off. It was supposed to be 60k away. I just guessed that. The boosters are now 25k off the surface, so I can't see them yet. So there should be like a tiny speck appearing sometime soon. I'm just going to stare at this sky until it appears. I see a flicker that probably won't come out because I'm not going to render it that well. It's like 1 pixel. You know, I see it glinting. They're both within range now.
Sparkly.
I can see 2 glinting things. I was pessimistic about planets to start with, but just standing here watching my 2 boosters come back of their own accord, just glinting in the night sky is worth it. Although they are very above the base. I wouldn't mind boosters if you kind of took the circuitous route, rather than coming directly down over the top of everything. Basically, don't do what I told you to do.
Yeah.
And I got a meteor storm inbound, but that shouldn't affect anything. Alright, they're both in shot now. Slowly coming down. So one should be there, and the other should be there. Okay, please stop. Please stop. I see all the thrusters working. They're going into overdrive. Right now I wish I could be in 2 places at once. That stopped perfectly. And here comes the other one. I'm going to get up a little more closely so we can see those thrusters firing, make sure everything is fine. And perfect. They both came back to the spot, turned off their autopilot, and they're sitting there waiting for me to reconnect them. The
That's
communication
not right.
satellite is not quite as far as I wanted it away, but I did just guess. So if I hadn't have guessed, that would have been fine. I'm just going to quickly check and make sure that it's got all the power that it needs. So it's got 1 hour of fuel time. That should be enough for me to dock these things. And check the hydrogen tanks to make sure I've got enough stuff. 22% left. So I think that worked. That, in fact,
Well,
I don't think there was anything wrong with that.
I'm very disappointed. I was really looking forward to laughing.
I'd like to say I wasn't disappointed, but you know, an explosion, just one of them. You know, I could have rebuilt one of the boosters, but an explosion would have been nice.
Although that said, you know what? No, I'm very happy that that it worked flawlessly and that nothing went wrong and everything is wonderful. And now I want that same type of thing to happen to me.
Well, if you ask
This
nicely,
karma,
then I can
karma.
use these things to deliver stuff to you somehow.
That's right. Well, not me. You probably won't make that trip.
I could, but probably not for you. No.
No, probably not for me.
Okay, so I'm just about to bring... Oh, while I'm here, I'll take this opportunity to rename these things so that I can find out what they are from the ground. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. All the bits on autopilot were fine. It's the bit where I get in the ship that is the most dangerous.
So you just let it drive on its own and everything is wonderful?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, that was part of the reason why I'm doing everything with autopilot.
Well, yeah, especially after the last experience. That makes total sense to me.
Okay, just going to line this up under the connector without anything exploding. We'll wait for the saving to go away, just in case. Okay, up we
Oh,
go.
it's different. Interesting, okay.
Okay, it's hooked. Now I switch off the thrusters that are involved with that thing. I go to the hydrogen tanks, I put them on stockpile and the batteries to recharge. And everything works. All perfectly. So the next little thing is just to correct my bad judgment when it comes to how far away that satellite should have been. Okay, so I missed the mark by 2K. Only 2K. So all I've got to do is from the surface down here, up in the remote control, put the camera, I'll fly front on. All I've got to do is thrust up. Actually, it looks like I missed it by 3K. 3.7-ish. So all I had to do is let that drift a little bit longer. So anytime now, should start to see the satellite's antennas. There we go. So I'm just going to let this drift a little bit further, maybe until 30k out, so that if something hits it, it's a little closer to them to repair. Okay, inertia dampener's on. And I'll just wait for this to come to a stop. And it's kind of in between the two. It's 36k from the Space Vegas and 33 from the other satellite. So I'm just going to switch to the other camera, which I did entirely wrongly because T takes you out. Oh no, that's not my problem, that's the game's problem. T takes you out of the remote control entirely, as well as the camera. Which means, if everything has gone well, in this drop down, I should see Space Vegas, and I do. And the first thing I'm going to do is find the LCD monitor with Sal's instructions on it, because I need to update them so she doesn't lose focus of what her purpose is, which is to get materials for everyone else. She has no say in this. She's gotten all the magnesium, and she's gotten all the uranium, I believe. So now she's onto gold and a little bit more magnesium. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll put it at gold and then ice. There we go. You don't have any problems with us just using Sal, right, Anubis?
Me? Oh, no.
Yeah.
God, no. Yep.
Okay.
Have at her.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that when we finally have a supply line up, that we will be able to make requests as well that you can send down.
Yeah. And I'll be able to hopefully have a ferry. An actual ferry that I finish this time.
Sure.
Because I've got the booster.
You've been doing pretty good at
no.
this series with... Uh-oh. Oh, no.
The connectors broke. Am I going to have to build another 2 boosters? Why did the connectors fail? Apparently they're still connected, but the boosters are on the ground in pieces. This is odd. Hopefully this is desync. Because the boosters are lying on the ground right now, but the connectors are green, and I can still access the station that they're connected to through the boosters that aren't connected to the station. And I'm dying of suffocation on the planet. Oh no, okay. So I'm having that same... when everything went wrong on the day that we do not speak, day of which we do not speak, how we were getting radiation damage, is what we called it.
Yep.
Getting the same problem when I go near these things. So something has gone...
horribly wrong.
Yeah. It still says they're connected, so I will maintain hope that when the server restarts, that they'll just appear back there and there will be no damage at all, and I won't have to build... What'll that be? The 9th booster that I've built? I've only needed 2, but I've built 9 of them. It almost went all right.
Almost.
Guess it's only fair. I mean, it's us.
It's us, yes.
It wouldn't be right if it all went perfectly. But it is annoying when it's the game that does it and not anything to do with your engineering.
I understand that all too well, my friend.
And the sun's just rising over the failure. It's a nice shot at least. So we'll end on that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Anubis.
Bye.
There we go. A minute ago, a thing flashed up on the screen saying meteor shower detected, or whatever it says. And now I only see one of the communication satellites. And I can't reach the Space Vegas anymore. So I'm assuming that satellite was just taken out by a meteor. So no, basically everything that went right is now wrong, and I'm going to have to do this again. But there will be a reprieve, because right after this we've decided to turn off the meteors because they're very glitchy, and we have subterranean meteors that fire up at us under our feet from inside the planet. So we're removing them. But if I'd waited like an hour, then it would have been fine. So I guess I'll launch that all again and have it ready for next episode.